It's time now for Media Watch, and I'm joined here by James Creedon. Hello,
Hi, Sanam.
James. You've been looking at the continuing fallout over this resignation of the British ambassador, of course, to the US that we've been covering here on France 24.
That's right, lots on it today on news websites and social media. We'll start with the Financial Times in the UK, who have been reporting on this. Of course, the ambassador announced that he was resigning this morning. Their scoop is that the Foreign Ministry in London told the Financial Times, or at least a source told them, that the UK ambassador had been looking at the debate last night between the two contenders for the Tory party leadership and, of course, for Downing Street, that the ambassador saw that Boris Johnson was, quote unquote, when the chips are down, willing to throw civil servants under the bus, and as such decided to resign. In other words, while the current Prime Minister is supporting him, he sensed that Boris Johnson, who is likely now to take over at Downing Street, would not have the same attitude, and decided to take the decision to leave, to anticipate, if you like, the outcome. This is David Lammy, a Labour MP, hounded out of office for telling the truth, is his take on it. This is a disgraceful example of what taking back control truly looks like. Taking back control, of course, would be maybe a slogan for Brexit. In other words, we're taking our sovereignty back. But what does that mean then? It means pandering to, this is David Lammy's opinion, bigoted foreign leaders and letting them dictate the fate of UK ambassadors. So there was a lot of irritation about all of this. This is the Council for Charles Grant, a grant of the Council for European Reform. He says that he has known the ambassador Kim Darroch for 25 years. He's an exceptional public servant of great integrity who has always done his best to implement government policy. Faragists have won this battle but not the war, and this episode hurts Boris Johnson. Faragists being a reference to the Brexit Party, who of course have put so much pressure on the Conservative Party to adopt Brexit policies, Boris Johnson being the major manifestation of that. The Guardian here, in one of their opinion pieces, Kim Darroch effectively sacked by Johnson on the orders of Trump. I suppose that's the most outraged way of perceiving what happened, that this is sort of Donald Trump pulling the strings via Boris Johnson. Now, not everybody who read that article agreed. Just to give a counterpoint of view, The Guardian is up to their normal biased reporting, says one person here. The only person responsible for this resignation is the leaker. Of course, to remind viewers, there was a leak published last Sunday in the Mail on Sunday, relaying what a private memo from the UK ambassador said about Donald Trump, which was that he was inept and insecure and whatnot, and it got the US president very annoyed.
James, on the one hand, as you just mentioned, we have those saying that Darroch was hounded out of the office, and on the other, those that think that the British ambassador was actually biased and that this could be a good outcome.
That's right. So just to to provide different kind of perspectives on this, this is Leave.eu, the campaign for one of the pro-Brexit campaigns, and they are circulating images such as this that are actually caricaturing the ambassador. You can see him here with a pro-Hillary Clinton T-shirt. Good riddance. In other words, this was a civil servant or an ambassador who was not neutral on the question of internal US politics. All of this, of course, turns on the fact that he was giving his unvarnished opinion about Donald Trump. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's taking a position politically. It's just he's providing his opinion. But anyway, you have Andy Wigmore, also of Leave.eu. He was interacting about this online as well. And he said that basically when Boris Johnson comes in, he will drain the swamp of dripping wet lefty civil servants. I'm paraphrasing that tweet there. That got a lot of people very annoyed, again, on the political left, saying he's using the language of Donald Trump, draining the swamp. And that is, I think, the big concern for a lot of people who fear Boris Johnson's arrival in power, that it's going to be a sort of a very Trumpian brand of power.
Bowing down there to the US president.
That's right. And just to finish, this is an article in the New Statesman, also left-leaning. The Kim Darroch affair will further diminish the British civil service. It will exacerbate a growing trend, writes Stephen Bush, in which civil servants feel unable to give candid advice for risk of it becoming the story. And of course, the critics of that point of view would say too many lefties in the government anyway. So
And I feel like we could go on with this because there have been so many reactions for the rest of the show. But let's move on to French news here, where the ecology minister is in hot water over accusations that he hosted a rather luxurious party at the taxpayers' expense.
That's right. Just a quick take on it. It's a big story here in France today. Mediapart, left-leaning website, came out with this. François de Rugy, former president of the National Assembly, the lower house of Parliament, and this was his official residence here, at the Hôtel de Lacé in the Swiss 7th arrondissement, and that he is now ecology minister. But while he was there in 2017, 2018, he hosted these lavish dinners, and you can see that indeed the photos would indicate that they were particularly lavish affairs. Now, the whole issue of this story, it turns on whether or not they were private dinners or dinners for work purposes. From the point of view of Mediapart, he invited a lot of his friends, and these friends were, it was quite informal. People didn't wear work attire. There were no ties and whatnot. So the Mediapart's accusation is that these were private dinners. François de Rugy has said absolutely not. They were working dinners. But many have been calling for his resignation, such as Delphine Bateau. Bearing in mind that the minister is formerly of Europe, the Europe Ecology Party. Delphine Bateau is also of the ecology political family. So it's ruffled feathers. People feel En Marche, a party that was trying to renew French politics, even if he's not specifically an En Marche. This is an embarrassment for the government, if you like. And it smacks of old school ways of politics here in France, where there was maybe a disrespect for the spending of public funds.
James Cruton, thank you for taking a look at what's buzzing online this Wednesday.
Thanks now.